So, of course, earlier we were speaking about a now deleted social media post from the Minister of National Security. One could argue that that is a one-sided, unforced error. However, in Parliament, also around the same time or a little after, we had a situation where two parliamentarians, one on either side of the aisle, traded escalating barbs at each other, and it caused a bit of a disruption with regards to the questions segment during Parliament on Friday. For more, let's take a look at Cue This.
When they will be actually implemented by WASA in the constituency of Couva South.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, I'm sure the member for Couva South is fully cognizant of all the activities taking place in this constituency. And that being said, Madam Speaker, the drilling of those wells have already commenced, and I expect them to be completed in 1 month's time.
Madam Speaker, given the Road Apple's response of the Minister of Public Utilities, could the Minister indicate if he's aware that the areas I have referred to, constituents are waiting for a pipe-borne water supply in excess of 15 days consistently for the last year?
The Water and Sewage Authority made a number of publications and public statements with respect to its inability to provide some of the water to the affected communities in the constituency of Couva South. A lot of the areas being mentioned are fed off the Salcott plant, which has reduced its production capacity as a result of challenges on that plant by 3 or 4 million gallons of water. And when you have those challenges taking place outside of WASA's control, Madam Speaker, it impacts upon the authority's capacity to adhere to the schedules in those areas.
Minister, taking into consideration the current state of affairs and that apparently WASA has collapsed under your tenureship, could you really indicate, or are you satisfied that constituents in the areas that I have referred to has to rely on a truck-borne water supply?
Madam Speaker, let me say that WASA has not collapsed. The UNC has collapsed and collapsed long time ago. And the argument and the partial for bacchanal and confusion on the part of the member for Couva South has collapsed. But that being said, Madam Speaker, that
incompetence, this is not bacchanal.
Member for Couva South. Member for Couva South. Could you kindly desist? Member for...
You in charge, not me. I'm not in charge of it.
Member for Couva South. Member for Couva South. I would ask you, having asked your question, after the response, if you can go outside, take a little 5 minutes and come back in. You deliberately put on your mic to say what you had to say, and you know that's not proper. All right?
Madam Speaker, I will leave the chamber, but under what standing order?
Member, I am sure you don't mean that, but I also know that you're quite an experienced member, and therefore maybe when you go outside you'll find my authority. Please don't let me exercise it further. Member for Miaro.
Right to speak.
Member for Miaro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 108 to the Minister of Public Utilities.
Minister of Public Utilities.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Member for Couva South, I am trying my best to deal with you in the fairest of manners. You said you will go outside. Maybe then you will collect yourself and be able to come back and carry on with the decorum demanded here. I understand your passion, but please, maybe outside you'll be able to contain it.
When the Speaker has to be the voice of reason, which is an ironic statement, to say the least, things might just be getting a little bit out of control. Now, technically, by my count, the first barb was so minor, Ketan, it came from the Minister of Public Utilities himself, when in response to a question for information, the minister said, well, it's something to the effect of the MP should know or would know of everything that goes on to his constituency. Nothing to really, get upset about. Just a little gamesmanship. But then the member for Couva South, he used the term road apples, which, for those who are not aware, is basically a polite way of saying horse manure. And things de-escalated from there. Yes, I understand. He also then said WASA collapse, and one could say that's a provocation to the minister. But the minister, in my estimation, should have known better and not continue to fall on. If somebody is doing something wrong, don't say, well, he did it, so can I. And I am disappointed on both sides as the behavior just de-escalated as they continue to trade insults.
Honestly, I didn't see anything wrong with the Minister of Public Utilities' response. In any healthy debate, that is absolutely fine. I don't see the need for road apples. And if you looked to the right of the Honourable Member for Couva South, he's you see Khadija Amin laughing, right? Khadija Amin laughing. We honestly mustn't encourage this nonsense. So there was no need for that on the part of the MP. But you see, the level of decorum that they have, again, I keep going back to the fact that they don't understand the privilege they have in sitting in such a sacred chamber. They don't understand the privilege of their position. And you are getting up to shout. You're deliberately turning on your mic in order to continue the provocation. If you have a point to get across, if you did not want that level of a rebuttal from the Minister of Public Utilities, there's no need in the first place to instigate it by using the term road apples.
Yes, road apples was where things went south.
So to me, the majority of the blame lies on the Honourable Member of Parliament for Couva North. Furthermore, again, in my opinion, it's not me trying to be hypocritical. I don't see anything wrong with the response from the Minister of Public Utilities. But I can't believe this. I give kudos, and I don't often do this, to the Speaker of the House, Bridget Annison George. I, on many occasions on this platform, I am the one who has been critical of her handling of the House. And honestly speaking, she handled it well. She did well, and you continue to do that. You set the example, you set the tone. Look, I'm only too sorry that the Member of Parliament for Couva North, he continues to shout, even as he's walking out and he's shouting or whatnot. I mean, come on.
Well, my only thing is, yes, I get it. You don't have a problem with the minister's response, but my thing is this. You're saying that the MP said that WASA collapsed. Has WASA collapsed? No. I think it's a minor thing, but it's incendiary. You're putting an idea in people's heads. We haven't necessarily reached there yet. And he does something of the same saying, well, the opposition has collapsed. Has the opposition collapsed? You might say that they're not an alternative and unelectable. That's not the same thing as saying that they collapse. And I think it seems minor, but these sorts of exaggerated language, that's how we go to things getting escalated further and further and further down the road.
The quality of debate and the quality of jargon utilized in debate is not what it once used to be. I think Patrick Manning and Bastio Pandey were a standard that even today we long for, we wouldn't see again. But in the context, given where we are and what we've seen previously, I still, in my opinion, think that
hold on. You haven't seen it all, because of course the member for Couva South, he comes back to applause from his colleagues. They continue with questioning. The Minister of Finance was under fire. He made his responses. Typical parliamentarian opposition questioning government stuff. And then the member proceeded to have another question for the Minister of Public Utilities. So we have a second shorter clip, if we could take a look at this.
All domestic customers will have access to Trop 1 service at no cost to them.
Speaker, given the long-winded response of the minister, could the minister give this House the assurance that WASA will indeed stick to the published water schedules, concerted or focused truck-borne supplies in constituencies that have been suffering as a result of your incompetence?
Minister of Public Utilities.
Let me say first that the people of Trinidad and Tobago will not agree with the Honourable Member for Couva South. As a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, if we have to see incompetence, we can just look at the conduct of the member for Couva South. That is, his conduct in Parliament is the epitome of incompetence as a member of Parliament. And that being said, Madam Speaker, that being said, let me say.
So it continued. And again, my issue, of course, is the disruption, because now instead of debating, how do we get the water supply situation under control? How do we expose government problems? How do we maybe work together? It turns into, how do I win this argument against that guy?
Well, very quickly. First of all, I apologize. I kept saying Couva North. It is Couva South. My apologies for my mistake. It all happens.
Yeah,
furthermore, Rudranath Indarsingh, the irony of him saying that somebody's being long-winded, that is
very true. I had to edit his stuff for time as well.
The irony, but anyway, again, no need for that. I think the issues that are being raised by the Member of Parliament is very much valid.
Yes.
Right? The issues being raised are very much valid.
But
stick to it, right? There was no need to go to the incompetence level, right? And in this particular instance, in the terms of context, Marvin Gonzales is allowed to respond, but he should not have responded to that extent.
yes.
Right? He could have simply said, if we were to speak about incompetence, we can speak about the member's conduct. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
Right? Simple. So in that particular instance, Marvin Gonzales could have done better. But overall, I think the lesson that we should take from this, parliamentarians, well, we could only hope, could learn some level of conduct. And again, set an example.
Well, consider this. When someone is in a debate and they have run out of things to say on the topic and they are left with only insults at the other person, one must ask the question, how prepared and capable are they in this debate, and how righteous is their cause if they've run out of things to say, right? Because then it's not about the topic, it's about the fact that I don't like the other guy and I want to win the argument. That's all it is.
It's just like this, perhaps we're at fault as well, simply because guess what? We're highlighting the behavior and the actions of the members of Parliament when the real issue is people in Trinidad cannot get water for months. But then and again, whose doing is that?